What actually causes global cooling? Because there are things that cause global cooling. Now, global cooling. Volcanic eruptions cool the Earth. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines cooled the Earth by 0.7 of a degree Celsius, 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit, in just 1 year. Why? Well, it put out 20 to 30 million tons of sulfur dioxide and other aerosols into the atmosphere in just 3 months. In the next year, we lost 15% of the ozone because of this event. Now, this is a magnificent photograph of Mount Pinatubo erupting. It's just like a just like a cork coming out of a champagne bottle. It was just magnificent. And here's a chart showing the effect. Because of the ash and the aerosols and particles coming out here, well, it blocked out sunlight, reflected sunlight back into outer space, and in 1 year, the Earth's atmosphere dropped 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit. What else causes? Well, the Earth is cooled by dust storms, such as in the Sahara, for instance, again, because it blocks out light, reflects light. Earth's orbit. The Earth's orbit is not a perfect circle. We get a little closer to the sun and a little further away at different times, and northern and southern hemispheres are a little closer, a little further away, and so forth at different times. So what else causes cooling? Well, let's think about how strongly volcanoes cause cooling. Nature is not pristine. I would like to remind you of Britain's forgotten disaster. The eruption of the volcano Laki in Iceland in 1783 was catastrophic. The volcano spewed out such a large amount of sulfur dioxide, sulfuric acid, that Britain was enveloped in a thick smog, and the sun was described as, quote, covered like it was soaked in blood, unquote. The naturalist Gilbert White said it was, quote, unlike anything known within the memory of man, unquote. The poet, William Cowper, lamented in the summer of 1783 that, quote, such multitudes are indisposed by fevers in this country, that farmers have difficulty gathering their harvest, the laborers have been almost every day carried out of the field incapable of work, and many die. The eruption lasted for weeks, engulfed much of Western Europe. About 1/3 of the population of Iceland died, half the livestock, which caused starvation, killing another 25% of those who had survived to begin with. Recent research done has established that it was the greatest natural disaster in modern British history, a volcano that erupted in Iceland. Nature is not pristine. Nature is a tremendous polluter. One volcano on Earth can pollute the Earth more than the entire human population in 1 year. Let's take a look at the fact that nature is not pristine. Volcanic disasters. Well, there was an eruption in Peru in 1600 of a volcano that put 12 cubic kilometers of ash into the atmosphere, put 16 to 32 million tons of sulfur dioxide to a height of 15 miles. This actually caused the single lowest point in the Little Ice Age, the coldest winters and most snow in Europe and Russia in the previous 600 years, because, of course, that was the medieval warm period. And think with me. In 1601, there was a crop failure in Siberia. They thought it was normal. It's just one of those years. You're a farmer, you understand these things. But in 1602, 2 million people died of starvation in Russia, 1/3 of the country's population. 100,000 people died of starvation in Moscow alone. This, in turn, led to the overthrow of the Tsar Boris Godunov. Volcanoes change history, and they also change weather. In the year 1783, the volcano Osama in Japan erupted. It caused starvation and killed 300,000 to 1 million people estimated. There was an eruption in Indonesia, the volcano Tambora, in 1815. One of the single largest volcanic eruptions known to have happened in the past. It put 80 cubic kilometers of ash into the Earth's atmosphere. 92,000 people died in the area of Indonesia, hundreds of thousands of animals. It spewed ash up to 800 miles away, but was carried in the atmosphere around the world, and it produced what's called the Year Without Summer in 1816. Now, think with me for a minute. There used to be a time when there were frost fairs on the Thames. So that was during the Little Ice Age. Now, an eruption in Indonesia in 1815 caused the Year Without Summer in Europe in 1816. Now, let's go to 1883, Krakatoa, also in Indonesia. In 1883, it exploded. It was the single most violent volcanic eruption known. It caused what is referred to as the sound heard around the world. The eruption of Krakatoa in Indonesia was heard in downtown London, England. It also killed 36,000 people. But volcanoes are tremendous polluters, and they really do change the weather, and they're very harmful in many ways. And what causes global cooling? Well, smoke from forest fires, again blocking out sunlight. The Earth itself is actually losing heat. Think with me for a minute. You are standing on top of a big, hot rock. As you go into the Earth, it gets hotter initially at 90 degrees Fahrenheit per mile, but that rate changes as you go in. But when you go to the center of the Earth, it's 7,200 degrees Celsius, 13,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's really hot down there. And the Earth radiates more heat every day than it gets from the sun. You are not alive today because of the heat coming from the sun. You are alive today because of the heat coming from the sun and the heat going past you on the way out, being radiated out of the Earth. This is one reason we know the Earth is young and could not possibly be 4.6 billion years old, or it'd be stone cold to the center. God knew you would need that heat. That's why he put it there. But if you take a look at the amount of heat being lost, and you used an American football field for a size of land, we lose so much heat on average every day from just that amount of land that you could light 4 100-watt incandescent light bulbs. What else cools the Earth? Well, again, I stressed the decreases variations in solar activity, decreases variations in sunspot activity. And I want to point out to you that, again, global warming, I think not. New data shows the ice is back. Now, this comes from February the 18th, 2008, the London Daily Express. The Northern Hemisphere endured its coldest winter in decades. The snow cap was the greatest since 1966. Around the world, vast areas were buried under some of the heaviest snowfalls in decades. Central and southern China, the U.S. and China were hit by hard snowstorms. China, the snowfall was so heavy that over 100,000 houses collapsed under the weight. In Jerusalem, Damascus, Amman, northern Saudi Arabia, they reported the heaviest snowfall in years and below zero temperatures. Baghdad had a snowstorm. Again, from the London Daily Express, February 18, 2008, show that there is nearly 1/3 more ice in the Antarctic than usual. What did I tell you? The ice is getting thicker in the south. This challenges global warming crusaders and buttresses arguments against global warming hysteria. Now, are the world's ice caps melting because of climate change, or are the reports just scaremongering by the advocates of global warming? Well, quite frankly, it's scaremongering. NOAA, the U.S. National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, reports that almost all the alleged lost Arctic ice has now come back. The report reveals that ice levels, which had shrunk from 5 million square miles in January of 2007 to just 1.5 million square miles in October, are almost back to their original levels. In January the 1st of 2009, the University of Illinois' Arctic Climate Research Center reported that the Arctic ice was back to within 3% of the 1980 level. The ice is back. Global warming is not true.